The situation at Spurs is oh so wrong. It's all part of Phoenix and Levy's con. A world-class stadium, second-rate team. Spurs are winning nothing under this regime. Together we need to shout, Levy and Nick out. Together we need to shout, Levy and Nick out. Intense are filling their coffers to the brim. The football forecast looks so grim. Spurs last cup win in 2008. Unlike a proper investment, it's what true fans hate. Together we need to shout, Levy and Nick out. Together we need to shout, Levy and Nick out. Intent of filling their coffers to the brim. The football forecast looks so grim. Spurs last cup win in 2008. Unlike a proper investment, is what true fans hate. Together we need to shout, Levy and Nick out. Together we need to shout, Levy and Nick out. Project Youth, just another Levy feast. Dismantling Spurs history piece by piece. The stadium, just an entertainment hub. No true fan wanted this for our club. Together we need to shout, Levy and Nick out. Together we need to shout, Levy and Nick out. Legendary Bill Nick would turn in his grave if he knew how the owners now behave. Corporate greed and no success. We need to work together to get our club out of this mess. Together we need to shout, Levy and Nick out. Together we need to shout, Levy and Nick out.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Tottenham Away, the best place to be on a Friday night. The boys are back. The boys are back in town. Jay and Billy T changed for Tottenham. We're going to have a quick hour conversation, discussion about this weekend's protest. They can answer any questions you've got about the protest. We're also going to be talking a little bit about events last night. How can we not talk about that? Jay, Billy, lads, great to have you back. Thanks for being here. By the way, everyone, smash like, subscribe, hit notification bell. Yeah, how you doing, Jay? How you doing, Billy? You guys good? Looking very red, Jay.
Yeah.
Been out in the sun?
Mate, it feels like it's just been, I think, didn't sleep properly after the game last night, went straight to the gym, been here, there and everywhere, and then obviously caught the last bit of sun in the day. So it's good. I'm just grateful to be back, so thanks for having me.
Yeah, same, man. Thank you very much for having me. Just depressed about the football club as always, but, looking forward to Sunday. Looking forward to getting some numbers to show that, this feeling that we're all feeling at the moment is no longer acceptable.
Absolutely. It hasn't been acceptable for a long time. Hopefully fans now have woken up. Everyone in the chat, thanks for being here. If you've got any questions or anything you'd like the boys to answer, just put them in the chat and we will get to it as the show goes on. I haven't had a chance to ask you something. Obviously, we're at the protest, but before the protest, we were discussing what we think will happen, how many will turn up. Obviously, on the day, you're caught in the emotions of it, the excitement of it, or the general mood and feeling of it all. But the day after, the week after, when you just sit back and think, we've been trying to put something together to get fans to unite and take action. When you saw this, let me know what you felt and what you thought. Okay, I'll just play a quick clip. When you saw this the day after, or the next few days after. I haven't had a chance to ask you, this is what you guys, managed to get everyone to unite together and do. Did you expect that, guys? Is that kind of what you thought would happen, or did it kind of blow your mind a bit?
Yeah, obviously, for me, the feeling of it, obviously, we put a lot of work in behind the scenes, just trying to get it right. Obviously, the one thing we've wanted all along is everybody united against what they feel's right for the club. And I think even for 2-3 days after, the feeling was just surreal that many people would come. And obviously, it's trying to top that and finding the right moment to go, right, this is when we can do it. We've got enough time to plan, prep. And honestly, I think it doesn't just go to CFT, me, Billy, Lyndon, Roops. It goes to every single person that turned up, and it shows people do want change at this club. And quite frankly, I'm hoping Sunday just blows this out the water.
Yeah, man, I completely echo that. And it just, I just feel like all we did was just provide a platform for people to get together. And, that shows that there's so much discontent in the fan base at the moment in big numbers and numbers that you can't really ignore. And to be honest, after it, my first thought is we can't let this slip. This has to be the beginning of something, not the end of it. Like, this is just the first step in hopefully a consistent load of action against Daniel Levy and the board, because, those numbers that we got, the press coverage, it's going to count for nothing unless we keep it up and keep doing it and doing it and doing it and getting numbers like that, consistently and building on it and getting more numbers and more numbers. Because until you do that, we're not really going to be able to change. The people that we know in the last couple of weeks have made it very, very obvious they don't really care much about the football club. But unless you do consistent action with huge numbers, we're never really going to get change.
Yeah, I totally agree. More numbers will eventually get through to the owners that enough's enough, and hopefully that builds into something more, which is what I want to segue onto. Where are you guys hoping to take it as this goes along in terms of more protests, more frequent protests, action in the stadium? Where is this building up to? Because you've had one massive protest. What are the steps? What's the thinking, guys? Because this is a question that's often asked to me, and I've always said to the people that ask me, we need to get the boys back on to answer these questions because they're the ones, spearheading it. So what's your thinking on that?
Yeah, I mean, for my personal view, obviously, we've done it once, and if we could do it twice, we can keep doing it. And obviously, this will gradually increase to being every home game. The away boys doing it in the away games. So it's one, making sure that we can get the numbers there, and we're trying to keep the ideas fresh. Obviously, if we was just doing the same thing where we was just turning up, marching down, we need to sort of look at new banners. We need to look at new ways to really try and get under their skin. And obviously, as you know full well, that really got under Levy's skin that there was that many people. You had people stood up the top taking photos, the press. Apparently, one of the directors being rushed through the middle of the protest, which is absolutely fantastic. And it's obviously, we want to keep honest as a fan base. We just want to make sure that we demand success, because at the moment, judging by last night, the standard of this football club is just completely in the toilet.
100%. And I think one of our next goals is definitely to do something inside the stadium. We've always been not reluctant to do it. It's definitely an ambition of ours. But until we know that enough people will take part in it, it'll be meaningless. Because if you, in a stadium as big as ours, if you get 1,000 people to walk out or to not go in or something like that, it's barely going to touch the surface. But we've shown this week with Man City fans, and they stayed inside the concourse to the 9th minute, quite a significant number of them, it can make a difference. That was getting media coverage. And Jay, I don't know if you just want to say about, we are sort of getting in touch with Man City, aren't we? Because we're just trying to just share some ideas together and see, how did they pull that off? What could our next steps be for doing something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I speak to Nick quite frequently. We have for a while. The effort them boys, and obviously,
Jay, sorry, who's Nick? Because people watching the show might not know. Is that part of the Man City protest group or?
Yeah, Man City Food Bank, they're called on X. Sorry, my mouse is moving. I think the little boy's playing with it upstairs. There you go. Man City Food Bank. So I speak to them quite frequently, and obviously one of the things that they've done, they've given us ideas on how we can grow this. So leaflets being put around the stadium, inside the club, out in the pubs. The effort that they done, and obviously if we could get our fans to unite, and obviously we know such a huge part of the stadium going fans are still fence sitters, which is one part, and again, we can't sit there and say to people, you have to do this.
We really want to do something inside the stadium, but until we're certain that we can get the numbers to do it, that's why we've been holding off. But I think Man City have shown that it's definitely possible. And one of the benchmarks that we look to is Man United as well. I think they're probably the best in the country at doing these big protest events like this, and it's taken them quite a long time to build up to where they are now. So we're definitely trying to be in discussions with people, getting ideas. But definitely, we want consistent action. We want to pull something off inside the stadium as well.
What about the frequency of action? So the last protest was it about a month ago? Are you planning to be more frequent, or is it strategically chosen the dates? What's your thinking behind that?
Yeah, currently it's strategically chosen. Obviously, we haven't had a huge amount of home games since the protest. So the one thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to find the games. One, if we get a midweek game that's at home, I think our last home game in the league before this was midweek. The issue is you have fans that are travelling there, travelling back, work commitments and stuff like that. So it's trying to look at when the matches line up with training times, bits like this. So there's a lot of work that goes into it. But the ideal goal for all of us would be to have this going at every home game. And obviously what we have tried to do, if we haven't even protested, we're trying to get something new. So you may have seen the banner. There's no passion here. It's purely financial. There's a lot of things that the club don't allow us to do in the stadium. And yeah, that's sort of what we're working towards.
And I think, because this is only our second big protest like this, it takes a long. The reason why we spent a lot of time first, as Jay mentioned, there's only been, I think we've only really missed the Bournemouth. There's only been like the Bournemouth game really in between the two. There's been hardly any home games. But I think the main reason is until we can continue to grow, it kind of takes a month to promote it, doesn't it, Jay? Like we've had to, people like yourselves getting involved and pushing on podcasts. Until we've got guaranteed numbers on the street every single week, we just want to make sure, because I feel like with this kind of movement and this kind of momentum, I feel like you're one bad protest away from losing that momentum and all that hard work. So we have to make sure we get it right. So if we had a protest where 50 people turned up now, we'd be, all of our momentum that we've been building towards is gone. So
yeah.
That's the kind of feeling behind it. But we're hoping to get to a point where every game we're getting these numbers, and then you just can't ignore it anymore.
With trying to reach out to more fans, not going to name anyone, but there are some YouTube channels, some podcasts who haven't been present, or I haven't really seen you engage with them publicly, which doesn't mean you're not trying to behind the scenes. Are you finding much joy with them, or is there still a reluctance? You're still getting a bit of pushback? Because that would obviously help. Whether it's the be all or end all, I don't know. But any joy there, guys?
I think for us, it's not a fact of we want to push ourselves onto people, if that makes sense. It's sort of if people want to engage. We've had quite a good bit of luck, obviously. Chris, for example, he had me and Billy on before the last one. But it's sort of if people approach us and ask us to get on, we're more than happy to. Obviously, both of us work full time, so it's trying to find a time in and around where we can get on. But for us, it's not. We don't want people to go, oh, we want you there. If people go, look, we'd love to have you on and hear why, we are more than willing to help. But there is some channels that choose not to engage for whichever reasons. So I suppose from my point of view, that's their choice. We're getting the numbers, the support from you guys. We are Tottenham TV, obviously Tottenham on tour, last word on Spurs. So it's good enough for what we've got. And obviously, the other thing we do need to start doing, I see one of the comments a minute ago, is fans that aren't on social media. So that's something that we've got to explore, definitely.
And I think, we're really grateful for supporters like this channel that have been with us, all the way through. And I think a lot of the marketing these days, just in the world comes from social media. So things like this make a big, big difference. But I think Jay's right. Like Tottenham has got a huge core. When you go to match days, in that stadium, how many people are on Twitter? How many people are on YouTube? There'll be thousands that aren't. So we're trying to find ways to reach out to them as well, for sure. But we're really grateful for the support that we do get from channels like this, because it's been a huge driver in getting numbers.
Oh, listen, guys, I've waited 5 years for someone to lead a movement that's going to get the numbers. Believe you me, man. We were out there, 50 of us, just looking like dummies, but we kept going. And it's great you guys have come along and, leading the way. So I'm all for it. The other question I wanted to ask you is, I know last time we spoke, you managed to get through to people in the mainstream media to attend and document what's going to happen. Have you gone down that route again? Are there even more that want to come this time? Is it going to be just as well publicised? Because we were on Sky Sports, we were on Talk Sport. All the journalists were talking about it. Is it going to be more of the same, guys?
Yeah. So I'm mainly the person that speaks to the media people at the moment. So we've spoken to numerous BBC, Sky, The Athletic, Talk Sport have got somebody that will be in the area. So most of their reporters will be present either walking to the ground, or if you outside the West Stand, if you look up, the media team's set up there. So most of them will get Sky images of what we're going to be doing. So it's reaching out to them. Obviously, nobody can guarantee we're going to get the coverage. The people that I have had reach out back are more than keen to do it as well. So we just need to keep pushing on them and keeping in dialogue with them, because last night, I don't know if you see them, some of our flags were at Chelsea. BBC managed to get a snapshot of that. So it's just now really kicking on and trying to connect with more and more.
And what we're really keen on as well is just like fans, documenting it and recording it, videoing it. We had quite a few just fans pop up. I remember last time one of your viewers, one of your listeners put it in the chat. They were doing a documentary. We met with them. We filmed some stuff for it. So
Mike Zappa, top man, Mike Zappa.
We love that kind of stuff, man. Just that's what we're kind of been more interested in, really, is like real fans making real documentaries. Documenting this from a fan perspective. I think that's just as important as the mainstream media these days. Yeah,
do you know what? I wish he told me before the protest that I'd be carrying his camera equipment down the high road. I mean, I got roped into that.
He's a proper old school camera as well, isn't he? Yeah, he's like, I remember meeting him.
Yeah, he does like weddings and christenings and stuff like that. So he's got all these heavy tripods and cameras. I was like, oh my God. But you know what? He was the only one that put himself forward to do it for free. So, big up to him.
Big up to him.
The last question I had before we take some questions from the audience was, from what you're getting as feedback and the interactions you're having with fans and other groups that you speak to, are you under the impression that, especially with this week, the financials, Levy's responses to the financials, us losing to Chelsea with a poor performance, and with the old ear cupping and whatnot, are you under the impression that there's going to be a bigger protest this time than the last one? Because I've got a feeling, but obviously you're more in the loop with this than what I am.
It certainly feels that way, but I think it's always a danger to say we're sure we're going to get loads and loads of numbers, because it's easy to say online we hate Levy, we want Levy out, but unless you're actually doing the hard work and attending these protests, that's where it translates to. So I think hopefully it seems that way. What do you think, Jay? But unless we just need people to turn up, man, we really do, to ensure that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're going to be lucky enough to be blessed with Daigle and all of his fans. He's over now from the US, from Canada. Sorry, I better get that correct. But yeah,
he's gonna love it. You know that he's gonna love Sunday.
I was supposed to be meeting this morning. I've got Fort and Brighton, but yeah, it's one of these things where we can get all of the people in the world saying that they're going to be turning up. It's hard to gauge numbers, and what we can hope for is that people feel the same. And if anybody's like me, absolutely outraged at, one, the performances that we've put onto the pitch recently, and two, the absolute audacity to put out the financials and then take a swipe at the fans at the same time. I think if there's anything that will sway fans to turn up, it's the fact that Levy's blaming the fans for the poor performances.
Did he blame the fans for poor performances?
He blames the fans for not supporting the players and getting behind the team. So
right, yeah, the statement he put out.
That was what game was that? That was the one before. Was it the Bournemouth game where he had to go at the fan? I think it was the Bournemouth game.
Yeah, before the Bournemouth game. So it's one of these things where...
The thing is, when you're charging 60, 70, 80, 100 quid a ticket, you've got to give us something to get behind as well. We can't just be getting spanked week in, week out, record losses, record lows for points per game, the worst seasons in 143 years, and then say, get behind the team. We are behind the team. We turn up, but you've got to give us something on the pitch as well, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. And it's like, you look at last night, we've now officially this season got the worst loss rate in the last 17 games in the last 100 years of Spurs. And that's under Ange Postecoglou. And the ownership seemed to be using him as a shield because obviously if you see Twitter last night, Ange didn't do himself any favours, but it seems to be Ange is this, Ange is that. Ange is, yeah, he is to blame. But you look higher and it's the same process we were in 18 months ago.
And when he's saying that the fans should support the team, Daniel, when are you going to start doing that then? And why didn't you do it in January?
Listen, I've seen this cycle 1,000 times. Bring in a manager, get a bounce, everyone's happy, and then flood the squad with mediocre players. Manager will pretend that he wants them when really he probably doesn't. But the manager just has fault because he's complicit and he toes the line. Well, then you're setting yourself up to fail, whoever the manager is. And then Levy, there's always an angle where you can say, but you haven't really tried because, yeah, you've spent 300 million under Ange, but the quality you've signed isn't there. And you've stripped the wage bill, which means you're paying peanuts. You're going to get monkeys, man. Like, and this is the same cycle. It's always quantity, not quality. I think a lot of fans just want to see Spurs for once. If you're going to spend 150 million, 200 million, go and sign 3 or 4 real top players that we can say, right, they can change games. But what we do is we buy, 16 players, and it's just a mess. So the whole thing's a mess because who have we really signed that is class? Like real top pedigree? I don't know if we have, if I'm honest with you guys.
Until you start paying the wages, nothing's going to change. That's the clearest indicator of success. With the lowest wage to turnover ratio in the whole league, I think with the 6th or 7th highest wage bill, aren't we? And I think even Villa might have jumped over us now. Yeah. And they've just shown straight away, signing 2 high wage players, Rashford, Asensio. Look at the difference that made, man. Until that changes, nothing's really good. We're spending 40, 50 million on a player that we're going to pay that over 8 or 9 years. That's nothing. It's like 6 million a year. But the wages are the thing that makes a real difference. And until that changes, nothing's going to change.
Yeah, and some people say, oh, but, there's restrictions. You can't pay certain amount of wages because we've got to work within the rules of that are set by FFP and PSR. But then my argument's always, but then why'd you give Timo Werner 165 grand a week? Who made that decision? Oh, but that's not Levy's fault. But then I always say, but Levy employs the people that make those decisions. He can't recruit. We don't really sign proper football people, like genuine top football people to do the work. The one that we did had Paratici, a lot of people were quite happy with him. Well, guys, he's off to AC Milan. He's turned down coming back to Spurs. What does that tell you about?
It's fallen through. It fell through this afternoon. It's officially dead in the water. He's not going to AC.
Something to do with his charges again or something, apparently. So it could
it's completely fallen through.
Oh, right. Okay. That was a banker a couple of days. So that's off now, is it?
Something happened to do with his charges, mean he couldn't go or something.
Yeah.
So do you think he might come back to Spurs? Do you think he wants to come back to Spurs? Do you think
Probably
he wants to work here?
I think he's in a position now where he holds the cards. If Daniel Levy wants him back, he can turn around and say, well, these are my conditions. Don't meet these conditions, I'll walk.
I think the thing is, for me, right, as well, like he's rumoured, obviously you're just going by rumours, so who actually knows? He wants like Inzaghi and Xavi, doesn't he, apparently, as manager. And that's never going to happen. But he has standards. What you're talking about before we were on recording still, standards at this club are so low right now. Someone like Paratici, who's been at Juventus with the standards are sky high, he tried to improve the standards at Tottenham, lift the standards, going after a manager like Inzaghi rather than a manager like, someone like Marco Silva or someone like that. It's just not going to happen, though. Levy's never going to want to pay the wages.
Do you know, the more and more you think about it, and I know a lot of fans turned on him and a lot of fans said he didn't want to be here anymore and whatnot, but Conte told everyone the truth about this. And he said, as he walked out, you can change the manager, but nothing will change. And he goes, trust me. And then he walked out. It's all played out, as he said. And yeah, he didn't want to be here anymore, but why would any, like you said, Billy, anyone with high standards, why would you want to be here working under this ownership? They don't have those standards. They don't have the ambition required. And he's been proven right. So
I joked on Twitter today about getting Simeone. Can you imagine that, man? I think he'd last about a week at our place and then quit. But
it'd be great to watch, though. It'd be great to watch his press conference.
It would, man. But we shouldn't have to accept a club with this low standards. Like we pay for a club with top standards, and we get a club with the lowest standards, around, really.
Let's take a couple of questions. people have put in the chat because only you guys can answer these. Mike Pepper, he was at the protest. Big up, Mike. Question for Jay and Billy. Have you demanded a statement from Levy? Yeah, have you been interacting with the board, the owners, to get some feedback from them at all?
So, yeah, before the last protest, we reached out to the club. Donna Cullen, Matthew Colcott, Daniel Levy. We got a generic response, which looked like it had been typed up by AI and just fired back to us. It was
ChatGPT.
Yeah, mate, it was that generic and that boring and sort of, it was a let's just email back to say we've emailed back.
Did you get the Daniel Coys at the bottom of it or not?
Oh, mate. We basically got all the excuses in the world. We want to win this. We're here to compete. We're a football club. I think since that email we got back, they've announced 4 more concert dates. So I suppose they're winning in some form of sense. But yeah, we have tried to reach out to them. We got the generic response back, and do you know what? What's the point of banging our head against the wall? They're never gonna take it serious until you really get under his skin.
And I think reading his statement from the finance as well, I don't want a statement from Daniel Levy. It's going to be just a load of PR nonsense. So tone deaf, like that statement for me, and from a lot of the people that we speak to online, that seems to be a real sort of that's angered a lot of people. And on Sunday night, when we were talking about we've got a week left to push this protest, we were trying to think of ways to push it. Luckily, the club just did it for us, didn't they, Jay? By putting out that statement, man. That turned a lot of people to reach out to us and say, you know what, I'm going to attend on Sunday now, because that statement was so unbelievably tone deaf. There was not a single shred of accountability in there from Daniel Levy saying, you know what, I've messed up badly this season. I know it's not good enough. No apology, no accountability. It's complete tone deaf, and even had the cheek to call out fans a little bit. Yeah, I think that I don't want a statement from Daniel Levy. It's just going to be a load of PR nonsense.
It's funny. You talk about Levy doing the work for us kind of thing to get people to just say, I've had enough. About a year ago, have you ever spoken to Marlon from Spurs Kings TV?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was chatting to Marlon. I said, Marlon, you need to up your game, man. You go on all these podcasts. Like, you got to bang the drum harder. Like you're too chilled with it. I don't get it. He goes to me, listen, this is a year ago. He said this to me. He goes, listen, you see Ange, he's going to be the reason that we finally all turn on Levy. I said, really? The Ange Cole, everyone loves him. Do you know what? I think Marlon's been proven right. I think him appointing Ange has actually galvanized people to say, that's it. I'm done now. I'm absolutely done. So it's true. The club is finding a very interesting way of actually giving us a reason and saying, cheers, we don't even need to promote or do any marketing, because you're forcing people to turn against the club.
And I think he's actually backed himself into a corner at the moment, because there's no manager in the history of Tottenham Hotspur since Enoch have been survived anything like this. I think he knows that he can't sack Ange just because he's just backed into a corner. If he sacks Ange now, all the attention is going to be on him. And as Jay said earlier, he's like using him as a shield. I think he's going to wait to the very end of the season, sack Ange, so then all of a sudden all the media becomes about who's going to be the next manager, and he's going to hope that distracts people from the fact that this is a mistake. Because I think if he does it now, all the attention is going to be on him for the rest of the season, and I think he knows that full well.
Yeah, I mean, somebody messaged me last night, the most accurate statement I've ever seen, and he said, there is 100% a project and a rebuild. The project is to force fans out and rebuild the fan base with day trippers. Levy's ideal scenario is a different 60,000 people every game. And you know what? That's what that statement confirms. He wants people that will go in, they'll spend their money in the club shop, they'll spend all their money on the food and drink in the venue, and then they'll get a new 60,000 people who do the same the following week. And the way he interacts with the fans, I don't care what the fans think. It's more, at the end of the day, there's this. We're a football club. We're not his cash cow. And do you know what? Quite frankly, everybody's just got to wash up with it now and just say, look, enough's enough.
And since the protest as well, we've had a few clubs reach out to us, like Man United, Man City, West Ham. And there's all these little pockets of fan movements popping up all and down the country. And I think what Jay said there is exactly spot on, because make no mistake about it. Big clubs like us, globalized clubs, are trying to get rid of season ticket holders. They don't want season ticket holders because, as Jay says, season ticket holders don't go and spend in the club shop. They don't make an event of every single day because it's part of the routine. I think we're slowly going to be phased out by these big clubs. So a lot of clubs up and down the country are thinking the same thing, and that's why you're seeing these sort of fan movements pop up across the Premier League at the moment.
Yeah, because the real fan is being pushed away. It's been going on for years and years and years. It's the reality of where it's going. But I think at Spurs it's a little bit different because we pay the highest prices and we all promised so much with this new stadium, and we've just literally been going backwards. We've got a quick super chat from at Vitron. All power to you guys. I've got my scarf, my flag, my yellow t-shirt for Sunday. Then into the coaching horses. Dr. Evil not getting a penny from me. There's a lot of fans actually going to the coaching horses to watch the game.
One of them.
Got another question from Jimmy Hotspur. Was last night the perfect preparation for Sunday's protest? I think we kind of discussed it a bit.
Yeah, I think, don't know about you, Jay, but I think the statement was a lot better for us than last night even. I think a lot of people like last night, there's been their anger directing towards Ange rather than Levy. And I think the financials the other day, that got people fuming with Daniel Levy. I don't know what you think, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, last night for me, I'd say definitely the financial statement has helped. But last night, the fact that Ange Postecoglou has still got a job, I think is going to anger people, because I've had people ask me all day, why is he kept in his job? He's turned around, he's goaded the fans all to end up looking a bit like a mug when the goal was chalked out. And then if you've seen his interview after the game, it is absolutely horrendous. I was asking the fans to celebrate. The fans were celebrating. So you basically...
Don't managers do that to the fans when they want them to make...
exactly.
They do that, don't they? They don't do that.
He did a little wave, didn't he?
Yeah. That little wave at the end was, mate.
Imagine on Sunday if we go 1-0 up against Southampton and Levy does this.
Then it gets disallowed. John George, Billy and Jay, will there be Levy out chants in the stadium during the game or just protest outside before the game? Good question.
Yeah. Obviously, as I've said, for me, I'll be sat around the table with Daigle in the coaching horses. I'm mentally checked out of Tottenham. I mean, I'm lucky enough not to be a season ticket holder anymore. I'll go as and when I can, obviously most weeks. But I know the boys inside the stadium, Billy, Linds, all of these boys, there is going to be Levy out chance. It's just people in the ground need to get behind it. And I mean, you hear it for the odd 30 seconds. Previously at the last protest with me, Ryan Isaacs holding a banner, some blokes starting on me in there. So it just shows there is still people that believe that this lost cause of a football club are going in some kind of direction other than down.
Yeah, and if you keep an eye on Spurs song sheet on Twitter, and I'm sure most people are familiar with, they've done a video saying there's two specific points in the game that they want Levy out chance. Another different thing that we're doing in this protest as well, we're going to try and meet inside the stadium before the game as well in the South Stand. So just keep an eye on Spurs song sheets because they've helped to organise that. And all the detail, I'm not 100% on what the exact details are, but if you have a look at their Twitter, they're trying to get some specific chants going inside the stadium and in the stadium before the game as well. And that's why we have tried to get a lot of flags and stuff and scarves and things people have been selling because we want the message to be loud and clear during the game as well as before it.
I think that leads on to this question from Mark Swift. Big up, Swifty. Someone asked, is there going to be a sit-in on Sunday? The last protest you had a sit-in. Is it the same this time or not going down that route this time?
Not this time. I don't think we've got anything planned. Am I right, Billy, with that? It's...
Unless we lose 3-0, then there'll be an emergency protest.
Yeah, we're trying to keep things fresh and try different things. So we're going to try and meet before the game this time instead of after the game. And then, like I said, we're building up to our next big step is doing some kind of walkout or some kind of stay. To be honest, I like the way that Man City fans stayed out of the game before game. I think that's more likely than a walkout. So something like that inside the stadium. But yeah, this time we're going to meet before the game rather than after it.
Okay. Terry O'Shea asks, there's a large number of people not on social media, as you guys mentioned before. Are there any discussions of large-scale leaflets and volunteers to give them out in the concourses to make people aware?
Yeah, I think a big part of this as well, obviously, would be outside and external of the stadium. There's a lot of people that you might catch on the high street. So for our next protest, it's certainly an idea we need to look at where maybe we can get 20, 30 people just with a batch of leaflets, handing them to people walking down from the tube station. So Seven Sisters, outside the stands. The issue we have is there could be some form of pushback from the club saying littering and it's, you've done this to do this. Believe me, as somebody that's had to deal with the club this week, they are very, very petulant and petty when they want to be.
And another thing, Jay, we got a call on Monday. We got a call with Man City because the way that, I don't know if you guys have seen like pictures online, the way that they marketed their sit-in, they posted all around the stadium, didn't they? And outside, stickers, posters, like everywhere. So that's what we're going to try and reach out to them, see what they did to be able to get that message out there.
Do you guys?
I was just going to say, man, we've had you go first. I was just saying we had a bit of a time. Obviously, we're not going to be able to say the details, but a bit of a time this week with the club, haven't we, Jay?
Yeah. Safe to say I got a bit of a bollocking and a whinging at. Was it yesterday, Billy?
Yeah.
So I had the club call me and just a bit of a fucking headache. But it's dealt with.
A couple of blocks in the way, but we're to be fair to them, they have allowed all the banners and stuff like that. So obviously we can't say too much about the specifics, but yeah, they're definitely aware it's happening Sunday.
As it grows, though, you're going to get more and more of that, guys. You're going to get more pushback. At the end of the day, they don't want it, but there's also freedom of speech, and they can't just completely go against you guys, because then that could give others that are on the fence, like you said earlier, to say, well, actually, I don't like the way the club's treating the fans now. I'm actually going to go and support these guys. So even they have got a bit of a balancing act to follow as well. So
so obviously, without going too much into it, the phone call that we got was saying we weren't allowed to do something. We need to do something, and the ultimate response is we're not here to be policed by them. There's a reason we're doing this, and because we're in this kind of form of dictatorship where we're told what we can and what we can't do as fans. That's not what we're here for. We're here to do what we think's right as fans, and unfortunately, if they don't like it, we're not here to be their friends. We're here to abide by health and safety, to keep the fans safe and to keep people around us safe. But ultimately, what we're here to do is make change.
And that's why we have to jump through a lot of hoops, like in terms of the actual time in between the protests. Like Jay's always in touch with the local police and stuff. Like the police have to be aware of it all. We go through do all of that in the right way to make sure we're not going to get shut down. Another big thing that they always talk about is fire, health and safety inside the stadium. So we've done everything correctly in terms of that as well. So we do have some hoops that we have to jump through, but we jump through them because nothing's really going to stop us.
Do you know, it's funny. One of the guys at the protest, I won't mention his name. He does some YouTube shows once in a while. He did a protest with a banner in the stadium, and they said to him, "You got to take it down." He goes, "Why?" And they said to him, "Health and safety."
Yeah.
And he goes, "No, it's not." And they go, "Mate, take it down. You're breaching health and safety." So he said, "Okay, I demand to see your health and safety certificate." And they couldn't produce one, so they couldn't take the banner off him. He's a smart guy as well. So I guess he knew how to play it, but. Not really the situations you want to be getting in, though. This is the thing, isn't it? We don't want these altercations.
And they tried that with us, haven't they, Jay? But we've always taken every step to make sure they can't get us on things like that.
Yeah, we've found miniature loopholes in regards to what the club say can and can't be done. For example, the flags that we're distributing, they don't have to be fire certified because they're under the club's own flag policy. Mate, every time he's bottle job. Sorry, I just had to get that out. He bottles it, but yeah, but yeah, we get so much thrown back at us from the club. Oh, why this? Why that? We can't do this. And do you know what? We're smart enough to think around ways to get around it. Obviously, regards to the purely financial banner, I think if we didn't have his name on it, it would have been approved. But again, it's nitpicking, and it's him just trying to have his say on everything.
And it's interesting because in some ways, them not allowing that banner in and us tweeting about it has kind of got more promotion than it being in. Do you know what I mean? Like people have really got behind that on social media now.
Do you know?
He didn't.
Do you know what you should do? Do you know what you should do? I've just had an idea. Sorry, Billy. You should create a banner that takes the piss, but they can't have a go at you because of the wording. For example, "Thank you for our financial success, Daniel."
Yeah, boom. It's what I mean.
Thanks for the multiple income streams, Daniel.
Thank you for Beyonce, Daniel.
yeah, like just play the game. Just imagine he denies you taking that in, but we just want to say thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just obviously the one thing we have to be ultra careful with, especially with things that will go out on Sky. The club are going to look to use anything against this protest and tarnish it in a bad way. So we do have to jump through some of their loopholes that they throw at us and say, look, do this, do that. Ultimately, as long as we're smart with it, like you said, Stel, there's ways around we can do certain things. And there's so much we're looking into. Some of it might not come through this season. Obviously, we've been looking at billboards, things like that, to try and get something good out there. It's just a lot of groundwork that goes in. And obviously, that is why sometimes there is that stagger in our protests as well, where we might miss one game, but then we're planning to go big for the next.
Maybe that could be our next banner that one your listener just said is, we've got our Tottenham back. Quote Daniel Levy.
We've got our Tottenham back. Mate, this is what I mean. Just if you use their words, you're almost like you're playing on their words, but what are they going to do? Ban it? But we're just quoting you. You know, you tell us about Tottenham. Just a few more questions. Max asks, are there any suggestions for the overseas fans? How can they help protest? Listen, there's a lot of overseas fans that always say, we wish we were there. If we were there, we'd be with you guys. And how can they help, guys? What can they do?
Obviously, a big part of what a lot of the overseas fans have done, they've been buying their own banners, they've been making their own posters. It's something that we encourage. We understand a lot of supporters clubs that are directly linked with the club as well have been told that they can't have certain things on display. But if you're, say, for example, I shouldn't quote him again, but Brian, Scotland Yard, they have bits up in there. It's more just getting your banners, getting them sent to us wherever you are in the world. If you're in Seattle, if you're in Australia, get your banners out somewhere where you can get a picture of them. We're always sharing about, and the more coverage from across the world that we get, the better.
Yeah, definitely. Just I know people. Obviously, we don't sell the scarves ourselves, but I know that obviously there's been a couple of pictures on our social media. People been buy them in from America, hold them up in America, hold them up in Australia. Yeah, so just even just we're not about selling things, so just make your own banners and just share it. That's all we want, really. Share.
Got a question from Graham, who actually is one of the OG protesters, probably 10, 15 years. Big up to Graham. Are the protests going to continue after Sunday? I think you brushed about it a little bit.
Does a bear shit in the woods? Yeah. 100%, mate.
We're definitely going to target one of the last. There's not really home games left, obviously. We'll definitely be doing something for one of the two. We're just waiting for the TV to be announced, right, Jay? So we can make a final call on which ones we're going to do. But we're definitely going to hit the last two home games in some form or another.
We've got quite a good idea for the last game of the season, which is something
Brighton?
we're talking about at the moment. Yeah, Brighton. And obviously, if it can come off, the effects that it would have for the last game of the season, especially when these players are doing their lap of embarrassment,
walk of shame.
A walk of shame, yeah.
Whatever you want to call it. Obviously, one thing that gets all over Sky is that last lap of honour. Now, if we can get something at the end of that game whilst they're doing that lap of honour, then that's something we need to look into. We need to go big with it.
Yeah, we don't have a ton of home games left, do we? And we're looking towards the Palace and the Brighton games for sure.
Yeah,
I think if Spurs crash out the Europa, which if we do, it'll be before the last game of the season, there'll be a massive tide that turns. Massive, because then that is it. 14th in the league, no Europe next season, and no trophy. It's just that's the time to pounce, really, if that happens. So, but let's see if it does. Really good question here for Brian Maguire, by the way. What about trying to get supporters clubs on board? He's from Scotland, is Brian, so he's mentioned the Glasgow one. But have you tried reaching out to supporters clubs, guys, in the UK and around the world to see what they can do to help?
Yeah, so it's a very it's a sticky situation because a lot of these supporters clubs that are linked directly to Tottenham have membership agreements where their members can go into ballots for tickets and bits like this. So we couldn't really necessarily ask these people to risk losing not only their memberships there, but for example, losing their connection where it gives them fair opportunity to get these tickets due to where they live. I think it was one of the guys in your chat last time I was on Stel, who was from Indonesia, maybe, who had started up a fan club.
So it's this guy here, Eugene, from Malaysia. He runs a channel called Spurswasian. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know for a fact, I'm not going to say which supporters club, a member of one of those supporters club, one of the lead members, was starting to tweet stuff about Daniel Levy and Enoch, and he got a phone call from the club saying, you need to start being more positive, or we're going to pull the tickets. So the club are definitely across things like that.
Just blackmail. Straight up blackmail.
Obviously, those clubs, they are the sort of way that a lot of their members can get to Tottenham, so they're put into a very difficult position. So but the club are definitely across things like that, which is unfortunate.
Well, look, you're right in what you're saying, because Eugene's just said I'm part of the Malaysian Spurs X committee. They're not allowed. So there you go.
That's a dictatorship at the end of the day. That's a dictatorship.
Two-tier Tottenham. Two-tier Tottenham.
But this is what we mean. Obviously, for guys like this, if they have a connection with the club that can give them a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to come over, I say we're lucky. We're unlucky because we live so close and the availability is there to go every week. But for some of these guys, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and to get over and finally get to see the crest over the ownership or these players is what's important to them. So we've got to respect that.
And we've had the same question about ex-players and things like that, but a lot of those still have some kind of media duties with the club. And we know from listening to Darren Ambrose, the club pulled work straight away as soon as you dare question anything. So a lot of people have reached out about getting ex-players involved, and we know that some ex-players feel the same way that we do, but unfortunately they can't ever go public with it, which is frustrating.
Last year, I bumped into Jamie O'Hara on the high road. He was walking towards the past the media cafe on the high street. He's probably going in through the media entrance. And I went up to him and I said, Jamie, and I just shook his hand quickly. I said, mate, keep up the Levy out noise you're making on TalkSport. He said, nah. God, what do you mean, nah? He said to me, nah, mate, they're onto me. They're going to kick me out. God, what do you mean? Nah, I'm going to get a ban from the stadium. So he's had to tone it down a bit. So now when you hear people calling into TalkSport wanting to slam Levy, he's like, yeah, but come on, what about the managing? He kind of tries to divert it a bit away because he's, like you said, he's another one that's been given a warning. So there you go.
But yeah, it's horrendous. And obviously, as we said, we've spoken to a few of the ex-players and they've given us silent support as such. And it's sort of like, if you remember I think it's about 2 months ago, Daniel Levy and Donna Cullen threw Michael Dawson to the wolves. They made him go on and make this statement, get behind the players, blah, blah, blah. And it's hard to see, but at the end of the day, it's the way the club's going, isn't it?
Yeah. And unfortunately, these people are getting, that's their livelihood, isn't it? That's their job. They're employees of the club still, but it's frustrating. And I think a lot of the ex-pros are feeling the same way, and they probably have, direct experience working under our club. So yeah, it says a lot, really.
Yeah, they are in a difficult position. One last question, guys, from C Cubed, who's an overseas fan. She's used to be a regular on our channel. Where have you been, C Cubed? Has there been an effort to get visiting fans like the Koreans who are in town for the game to join the protest ahead of the game? That's a good question. Have you tried targeting the fans that have come for the day, for the weekend?
I think one thing we try and do.
It's quite hard.
Yeah, it's like, it just encourage like a friendly atmosphere. Like we're not going to sort of, people brought their kids last time. People brought their entire families there. We want to make it so when people walk past that on the high road, they say, "Oh, that looks like something I can get behind and join." So we try and encourage it that way. What do you reckon, Jay?
Yeah, it is a tough one because obviously some of these fans, as I said, this is their one chance to get over and see Tottenham play. So some of them might not want to. Obviously, the one thing we want to be is an engaging group for all. And as we've said, our stance is we're staunch Levy out, Enoch out. Not all of these people might understand why we're this way. And obviously, the one thing that we would ask is Sunday, if you're going to the game you're watching today, come down, say hi to us. We're just fans. We're no different to anybody else. And the same as, I dare say, everybody protesting wants to keep it so we can engage with more different diverse fan bases and areas within the supporters.
Yeah. I think as well with a lot of the fans that come from overseas, a lot of them, even if they don't get involved with the protest, they'll be videoing it and taking photos and then reposting that on their socials anyway. So it's almost like free marketing for what's just happened. And then their friends will say, "Oh my God, what happened? I thought you were going to go watch Spurs. What's this you walked into?" And then like, "Oh, it's crazy. 2,000 fans on the high street. They hate the owners." So in that way, I guess they kind of get drawn into it as well, just by being in the area.
And I guess at the end of the day, it'd be an interesting thing to see as an international fan. And one of your listeners right at the beginning of the show said they're gonna live stream it for people that can tune in across the world as well. So stuff like that is a massive help. So thank you to whoever that was.
Yeah, that was actually Eugene from Spurs-Wasian. So he loves it. He loves ENIC and Levy out. Absolutely, he's got all the background. He's had all the background and all the caps and everything. He's a full on. But and you know what? A lot of us have been. And like I said to you guys, I'm glad you guys have come along and arranged for so many now to get on board with it. And I hope it just keeps growing until there is some change. On that note, I know we said we're only going to go for an hour and you've got other bits to do, guys. So do you want to let everyone know where we're meeting, what time, what's the plan, what's the duration of the protest, where's it going to end up, that kind of thing? Because I've just said 12 o'clock, everyone be at the end of Lordship Lane, opposite Sports Direct, and that's it. If you want to share with everyone exactly what the plan is so we can get as many down there.
Yeah, so very similar again to the previous protests. So Lordship Lane opposite the Sports Direct. Meet there for around 12, 12:15, obviously. Last time it was building up about 30 minutes before. So meet there. The plan is to do very similar. We'll have the media in front of us to walk down towards the West Stand, where obviously we know now that the directors go in. So I dare say Daniel Levy will take his back door into the club. Stand down there, do half an hour, 45 minutes. We want to get our songs out. We want to get seen. We want to be as loud as possible. After that, for the guys that are going into the stadium, as Billy touched on earlier, there is going to be some prearranged chants. There's going to be a bit inside the concourse. Throughout the game, there's going to be multiple chants. For myself, I'll be going up to Coach and Horses to watch the game. So if anybody's not going to the game, feel free to come up and have a pint with me.
And I've just checked on the online as well. So the two official chants are going to be on the 24th minute to symbolise NX 24 years, on the 61st minute to symbolise the last time that we won the league. Obviously, we hope that's not the only Levy out chants that are going. We want them to be throughout the game. And there's a guy called Harry Jack on Twitter who's going to be taking charge of chants on the entrance of the South Stand as well. And also, we have managed to arrange a drummer this time, so hopefully it'll be really loud and really noisy.
Oh, brilliant! We've got a drummer for the chanting.
We got a drummer for the chanting this time, yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic!
Yeah.
That's the kind of planning we need, man. Great job on that. I'm actually looking forward to it a bit more now.
Yeah.
Bit of music.
I'm definitely looking forward to the protest more than the game. Put it that way.
Yeah.
I was actually saying to Brian and Graham this week, if the sun's out, it will only encourage more to be there, because when the weather's out, people want to be out as well. So I think they're planning for it to be 16, 17 degrees sunny. So that'll only get more people out. And
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Guys, you got any other plans, any other shows you're doing, anywhere else you're going to be talking about Sunday? You want to promote, or anything you're up to, or any channels or Twitter pages you want to promote?
Yeah, for me. Oh, sorry, Bill, do you want to?
I know we got our Change for Tottenham YouTube tomorrow, haven't we? We're going to do one last final show, just as a push of all the details. The only intention of it is just to go through the details, and on last one on Spurs tonight as well. But that big one tomorrow is that on our Change for Tottenham YouTube. It's just going to be a quick one, just literally telling people, same as what we just said there, where to be, what time, etc. So
I didn't know about this. You've got a Change for Tottenham YouTube channel.
We've only ever done one. We've only ever done one video so far, but yeah, there's something that we're going to try and do a bit more of. We basically just do live shows. We've done one so far. Yeah,
it's more so as well. Obviously, I know you're not on X currently still, so we do spaces usually every Wednesday. It's more so to get people to hear. We're getting different people on. So recently we've had the ex-Trust chairs, Cat and Martin, on, who have broken down some bits, answered questions from the fans that they may have. So what we're trying to do is, we understand not everybody's on X. We've just jumped on every kind of social media platform just to sort of reiterate messages that we're being passed.
Guys, do you know what? I think, as an idea, by the way, people in the chat, you're asking for the link to their channel. I'm just going to put it in the comments now. I've just gone and found it. Change for Tottenham. I'll just call it Tottenham TV for now. I've just put it in the chat, guys. You can go there, follow them, watch the videos they put out. Do you know what I would do if I was YouTube? I would, any show you go on, it's like this. As long as you get the permission, like you've got our permission, repurpose it and put it on your channel. Say, right, we're on that channel, and just put it on your one as well. So then you can because you've already just spent an hour here. Just put it on your channel, and when you go on.
Can I reach out to you about it? Because we're completely new to this YouTube thing, so you have to tell me how to do it and stuff.
Yeah, let me know. Let me know. We'll sort it out.
We're brand new to this thing, man. We don't know what we're doing. I'll be honest. So yeah, I'd love to do stuff like that. But yeah, have to let me know.
You're at the good stage. Once you get to about 4,000 or 5,000, that's when the hate comes. So at the moment, enjoy it. That's what I'm saying. Billy, Jay, as always, guys, thank you so much for coming on, answering questions from the audience. I think there's a lot more coming to this one, and thanks for letting us know where it's going to be in that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Sunday, guys. Looking forward to another protest, and hopefully we make some noise.
Thank you, man, and we really appreciate the support from you and your channel, and hopefully go on again soon, straight after the protest, and we can talk about next steps.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Iggy with his selfie stick walking at the front again.
that was JP. That was
JP. Sorry, not Iggy.
JP.
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm
He'll be there. He'll be there with the selfie stick.
it'll be good to see everybody, and obviously the one thing, as Billy said, we appreciate all the support you've given us still. Same with your fans, same with everybody who feels the same way, and most importantly, let's make Sunday big.
Yeah, look, you're getting loads of thanks in the chat, man. So yeah, just keep it up, guys, and bring on Sunday. Bring on Sunday.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, guys, catch you later. We'll be back on Sunday as well. There'll be loads of videos and all sorts all over social media on Sunday at the protest. So hopefully you can come down and support the cause, and let's see where we go. Have a good weekend, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.